Back in 1960, the median American home carried a price tag of just $11,900. Adjusted for today's dollars, that's about $129,000. Fast forward to now, and the median new home sits closer to a staggering $420,000. Not just inflation, but a whole new reality. In those days, a single breadwinner could shoulder the mortgage and still keep a family afloat. Today, it often takes two steady incomes just to make the monthly payment, and that's before you even factor in insurance, property taxes, or the never-ending fix-it list that comes with homeownership. Household income tells a similar story. In 1960, the typical family earned about $5,600 a year, which translates to roughly $60,800 today. Now, the median household income hovers around $80,000. On paper, it looks like a step forward, but in reality, housing, health care, and higher education chew up far more of that paycheck than they did 60 years ago. Back then, one paycheck often meant comfort, stability, and even a little room to breathe. Today, for many families, the math feels tighter, the margins thinner, and the dream of financial security just a little harder to reach. In the 1960s, shows aired when they aired. You either caught them live or you missed them completely. No rewinds, no replays. Now we've got hundreds of channels and endless streaming services. Funny thing is, people still scroll and say, "There's nothing to watch." Back then, school cafeterias cooked meals on site. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, fresh rolls from the oven. By mid-morning, the smell of lunch drifted down the halls. Today, many schools reheat prepackaged trays or outsource the entire process. It's efficient, but it's hard to beat food baked just steps from your desk. Music lived on vinyl and radio countdowns. You'd wait all week to hear your favorite song crack the top 10. Now, every track is just a voice command away. Algorithms deciding what you might like next. Convenience has perks, but nothing matches the thrill of catching a song live over the airwaves. Woodstock, 1969. Hundreds of thousands gathered in the mud for music and meaning. Tickets were $18 in advance, about $150 today for 3 full days. Modern festivals, wristbands, VIP lounges, charging stations. The spirit is still there, but the vibe feels more corporate than communal. Flying in the 60s was an event. Men wore suits, women wore dresses, and meals came even in coach. Today it's yoga pants, baggage fees, and Wi-Fi at 30,000 feet. The miracle remains, but the romance has been trimmed down. Smoking was everywhere. Offices, airplanes, restaurants. Cigarette haze was part of the atmosphere. Now, smoking is banned indoors, replaced partly by vaping. It's healthier, but once smoke, music, and conversation all swirled together in one room. The space race was family viewing. Mercury and Apollo launches stopped people in their tracks. Neighbors gathered around black and white TVs. Today, rockets still launch. Some even land back on their pads. But most people just watch the highlights on their phones. The wonder's still there, just competing for attention. Cars in the 60s had metal dashboards, no airbags, big wheels. Today's rides bring crumple zones, airbags, cameras, lane keeping. Safety's better, no question. But nostalgia lives in the slam of a heavy door and the smell of vinyl seats on summer days. At the 5 and dime, a hot dog and soda cost pocket change. You'd sit at the counter, watch it sizzle, maybe add another nickel for a drink. Now, fast food means drive-thrusts, touchscreens, combo meals. Faster, yes, but not the same as hearing lunch cook right in front of you. In the 60s, concert tickets meant box offices or record stores. Cash in hand, friends lining up before sunrise. Now it's digital cues, service fees, and resale markups. The music's still live, But the hunt for tickets was once part of the fun. Neighborhood barbers and parlors were local institutions. They knew your name, your style, probably your kids' names too. Now it's apps, salon suites, stylists who move every year. A good cut is still easy to find, but the community connection is thinner. Route 66 road trips meant 2-lane highways and neon motel signs. Diners with jukeboxes at every table, families crossing the country with no itinerary, just the road. Today, interstates get you there faster, but you pass the same chain hotels and restaurants you'd see anywhere else. 1703, the 15th of September 2025. Rogi. Summer jobs for teens were everywhere. Mowing lawns, bagging groceries, flipping burgers. You'd walk in, ask for the boss, and start that same week. Today it's online applications, background checks, weeks of waiting. The process is longer, but gone is that old "you're hired, kid" moment. In the 1960s, a year at a public 4-year college cost under $1,500, around $11,000 today. Now, the average is closer to $28,000. Back then, a summer job could cover a big chunk of tuition. Today, loans are the norm, and many graduates begin careers with monthly payments bigger than their rent. Job hunting in the 60s meant flipping through classifieds, circling ads, pounding the pavement. You met someone face to face, maybe walked out with a start date. Now it's applicant tracking systems, keyword scans, video interviews. Efficient, yes, but you can't shake hands with a computer. Banking meant walking into a branch, updating your little passbook, knowing the tellers by name. Banks closed by 3 o'clock Friday, so you planned ahead. Today, it's mobile apps, instant transfers, 24/7 access. Convenient, sure, but you don't get that friendly wave from the bank manager anymore. In the 60s, you could leave the house all day without worrying about power. No chargers, no outlets, no battery icons in the corner. Today, a dying phone feels like an emergency. Backup batteries, tangled cords, and frantic outlet hunts are part of daily life. Grocery stores followed the seasons. Strawberries in summer, root vegetables in winter. Canned goods filled the gaps. Now you can buy blueberries in January and avocados all year. Convenient, yes, but the thrill of the first peach of summer hits different. Milk came in heavy glass bottles left on your porch. Cream rising to the top in a rich, thick layer. You'd return the empties to the milkman. Today, it's cartons, plastic jugs, plant-based alternatives. Practical, sure, but gone is that satisfying clink of bottles at dawn. Dinner was one meal, one table, everyone present. Maybe the evening news humming from a single TV in the corner. Now it's delivery orders, different schedules, different screens. The food might be fancier, but the togetherness is harder to hold. Sundays once meant church, family visits, maybe a roast in the oven. Streets were quiet, stores closed, the world slowed down. Today, Sundays compete with live streams, youth sports, and long to-do lists. The meaning remains, but the pause feels harder to find. Police and fire calls went through a switchboard operator. Sometimes she even knew your family. Response times depended on a quick voice and a map on the wall. Now it's GPS-tracked units, body cams, and computer-aided dispatch. More efficient, but without that neighborly voice on the other end. To learn the latest dance, you tuned into American Bandstand. Copy moves in your living room until you nailed it. Today, new dances spread instantly through viral clips. The reach is bigger now, but the ritual felt more special back then. Sunday drives had no destination. Pile into the car, see where the road took you. A new diner, a quiet fishing spot. No GPS, no ETA, just curiosity. Today, every trip is mapped and tracked. You still arrive, but the surprise is missing. When the high school team played, the whole town showed up. Bleachers full, band playing, neighbors chatting. Now, with endless entertainment, crowds are smaller. And the Friday night lights don't shine quite as bright. Work clothes in the 60s meant suits, ties, polished shoes. Dresses, stockings, heels for women. Today it might be hoodies on Zoom or sneakers with slacks. Comfortable, yes, but a sharp-dressed room had its own energy. It wasn't unusual for one parent to stay home, often the mother, while the father worked. Child care was built in. Kids came home to someone waiting. Now dual incomes are the norm, and child care costs rival a mortgage. The pace is faster, but so is the strain. Parades filled Main Street. Marching bands, fire trucks, floats tossing candy to kids. The whole town turned out. Today, some towns keep the tradition, but many can't afford it. Budgets shrink, calendars crowd. The magic is harder to hold. Discipline in schools was firm. Sometimes a paddle, always a call home. Now it's counseling teams, restorative practices, behavior plans. The methods changed, but the fear of the principal's office isn't what it used to be. Farmers markets sold fresh goods straight from nearby fields. No organic labels, just the farmer's word. Picked this morning. Now, organic is a selling point. Some produce travels farther than you do on vacation. The food is still good, but the handshake deal is rare. Local papers told small stories. School plays, pie contests, city meetings. You read about people you actually knew. Now, community news is buried in feeds and algorithms. Faster, yes, but not as personal. Political news came once a day, morning papers, evening broadcasts. You had time to digest before the next update. Now, news breaks in seconds, trends in minutes. We're more informed, but keeping up feels exhausting. Friday nights in the school gym meant teen dances with live local bands. Chaperones leaned against the walls, while friends dared each other onto the floor. You could smell punch and floor wax in the air. Now teens connect through group chats, gaming, and TikTok trends. The music's still there, but that sweaty, nervous magic isn't. Little league games, church picnics, and town fairs brought neighbors together. Everyone showed up, and everyone knew someone on the field. Now activities are more scattered, families driving hours for tournaments instead of walking to the local park. If something broke, you fixed it. In the garage, at the kitchen table, or with help from a neighbor. Today, you might need special tools, proprietary parts, or a repair shop just to open it up. The internet has tutorials, but it's not quite the same as solving it with your own hands. Kids' bikes were everywhere, piled in front yards, leaning on fences, packs of kids roaming the neighborhood. Now you see fewer bikes, more kids indoors on screens. The laughter is still there, but it comes through headsets instead of drifting in from the street. Small appliances, toasters, radios, fans were built to be repaired. A broken cord or motor meant a trip to the repair shop, not the trash. Today, replacing often costs less than fixing, and fewer things are made to last. Pharmacists once mixed medicines by hand, measuring powders, blending liquids, knowing their customers personally. Sometimes even crafting a special blend just for you. Now, most prescriptions are filled by machines. Efficient, yes, but impersonal. Chain restaurants were rare. Most towns had local diners and family-owned spots with menus that barely changed. Now, franchises dominate. A burger in Ohio tastes just like one in Arizona. Reliable, yes, but hometown flavor is harder to find. Downtown department stores were anchors of shopping. Window displays stopped you in your tracks. You'd ride the escalator just for fun. Now, shopping is moved online. Packages show up on porches, but the memories made in bustling aisles are fading. Back then, you could stroll into a factory, a power plant, even a TV studio, just by asking politely. Workers showed you machines, maybe even slipped you a free sample. Today, security checkpoints and waivers keep most doors closed. Safer? Yes, but the thrill of wandering behind the scenes is gone. Trains still hummed between cities. Dining cars polished, porters in pressed uniforms. You could nap, read, or just watch the countryside roll by. Today, most people drive or fly. Long-distance rail still exists, but the golden age is only a memory. Sports fans once caught games on the radio or a single TV broadcast each week. Announcers became legends, their voices the only ones calling the plays. Now, every game streams in high definition. Multiple angles, endless replays. Impressive, but the shared anticipation isn't quite the same. Report cards arrived in manila envelopes, carried nervously in school bags. Parents opened them at the kitchen table, maybe after a deep breath. Teacher meetings happened once or twice a year. Now, grades appear instantly online. Pings alert you to missing homework, and surprises, good or bad, are rare. For young men in the late 60s, a draft letter could change everything. Vietnam loomed large, shaping futures overnight. Families counted the days, holding their breath. Today's all-volunteer force serves without that shadow hanging over every household. News moves faster now, but not with the same life-altering weight. Ham radio operators once spun dials to catch voices across the globe, trading call signs and stories, strangers turning into friends. Now instant messages and video calls connect the world in seconds. But without that spark of discovery, when a distant voice crackled in from miles away. Local DJs were hometown stars, their voices as familiar as family. They took requests, plugged community events, made each show personal. Now playlists are algorithm-built. The DJ's voice might not even be in your state. The music's still good, but the personality is missing. Office desks once rattled with clattering typewriters. Carbon paper stacked, whiteout bottles nearby. Mistakes were permanent, unless you patched them with liquid patience. Now, documents autosave. Spell check fixes errors. AI rewrites entire pages. Cleaner, yes, but that tap-tap-ding rhythm belongs to another life. Records lived in heavy filing cabinets. Folders labeled by hand, thumbed through daily. Slow, yes, but with patience, you'd find what you needed, and earn a few paper cuts along the way. Now, cloud drives store everything. Searchable in seconds. Practical, yes, but less tangible. Photo albums sat on coffee tables. Pages heavy with prints, captions written by hand. Visitors flipped through like storybooks, laughing at old hairstyles, family trips. Today, photos live on phones, swiped past in seconds. Easier to share, but harder to cherish. Travel once began at the local agency. Glossy brochures promised beaches, mountain roads. Paper tickets tucked in envelopes were part of the excitement. Now it's price alerts, mobile boarding passes. Convenient, sure, but less romantic. Music filled rooms from record players and hi-fi consoles. The warm crackle of vinyl made it feel alive. Albums played start to finish, cover art admired like museum pieces. Today's streaming is instant, crystal clear, but it lacks the ritual of lowering the needle and letting the music run its course. Grocery baggers loaded paper sacks carefully, carried them to your car, sometimes refusing a tip. Today, most shoppers bag their own. In many places, they even pay for the bag. Faster, yes, but missing that friendly chat on the walk to the parking lot. After school meant Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, bowling leagues. Activities that built friendships and kept kids busy together. Now it's esports, climbing gyms, virtual meetups. Still fun, but less of that hometown sense of belonging. Civic clubs, lodges, and fraternal halls once packed with life. Dinners, dances, charity drives. Joining was part of adulthood. Now, online communities connect people, but without the handshakes, name tags, and church basement coffee that made bonds feel solid. Downtown diners and soda fountains offered stools at the counter. Tall glasses, milkshakes, servers who knew your usual. Today, it's food halls and fusion trucks. Bold flavors from around the world. Exciting, yes, but without the comfort of being greeted by name. Teachers wheeled in projectors, flipped through film strips. The hum of the machine, images clicking past. Now classrooms glow with smartboards, apps, streaming videos. Sharper lessons, yes, but the dusty charm of film reels is gone. Neighbors used to just drop by. No texts, no invites. They rang the bell with a pie or a story to share. Today, an unannounced knock can send people ducking behind curtains. Life is more scheduled, but missing that casual doorbell friendship. Fridays meant paychecks in envelopes. Crisp bills in hand, lined up at the bank before closing. Pocketing a little cash for the weekend. Now, direct deposits land quietly. Same-day pay cards keep things moving. Convenient, sure, but less of a milestone. Men tipped their hats, doors swung open. Sir and Mom were standard. Politeness carried formality. Now it's first names, emojis, casual hellos. Friendly, yes, but with less weight of respect. Road trips ran on paper maps. Unfolded across the dashboard, fingers tracing the route. You learned geography as you traveled. Today, GPS calls every turn. It's harder to get lost, but also harder to stumble on something wonderful. Architects and engineers sketched at drafting tables. Slide rules in hand, every line deliberate. Now CAD software runs the math in seconds, spins out 3D models. Faster, yes, but the craft of each stroke is fading. Lawns stayed neutral. No yard signs except a bake sale or missing dog. Politics didn't show, unless over coffee. Today, front yards become billboards, broadcasting causes and candidates. The quiet was simpler. Corner cobblers fixed shoes. TV repairmen kept sets alive for years. You knew them by name. Now, big box stores handle returns. Warehouses ship replacements. Faster fixes, but the relationship is gone. Soda came in glass bottles. Return them, hit a few cents back. Clink them in a paper bag. Spend the change on candy. Now it's plastic bottles, cans, recycling bins. Easier, yes, but the ritual is gone. In the 60s, fixed most car troubles. Parts were cheap, engines simple, neighbors lent a hand. Now, even oil changes can need computers and special tools. Cars are smarter, but driveway mechanics are fading. Public libraries once bustled. Neighbors browsing shelves. Kids curled with picture books, the scent of paper in the air. Today, many fight for funding. E-books are handy, but nothing beats the creak of a chair on a rainy afternoon. Neighborhood watch meant neighbors. Folks on porches knowing who belonged, who didn't. Now it's motion lights, doorbell cams, community alerts. Safer, maybe, but less personal. Back then, the system was simply people who cared. One phone per house, fixed to the wall. Sometimes, party lines were neighbors overheard. If someone else was talking, you waited your turn. Now, everyone carries a private number in their pocket. Convenient, sure, but no more overhearing Mrs. Miller's gossip. Catalog shopping meant Sears books. Thick, glossy, dog-eared pages. Christmas wishes circled, summer plans sketched. You ordered by mail, waited weeks. Now it's 2-day shipping, free returns, instant tracking. Faster, yes, but paging through dreams was half the fun. Big families were the norm. 4, 5, even more kids tumbling through the house. Hand-me-down clothes, shared bedrooms, just part of life. Now marriages are later, families smaller. Homes are quieter, neater, but missing that echo of happy chaos. Comic books filled wire racks at the drugstore. Bright covers, a dime or less. You read them till the staples gave out, then traded with friends. Now they sit behind glass, priced for collectors, not kids on bikes. The heroes still save the day, but comics no longer live in your back pocket. Road trips meant rolling into national parks. Park anywhere, explore without reservations. Campsites first come, first served. Today, timed entry passes, booked months in advance. It keeps the crowds down, but far from just pulling in to see what you'd find. Weather forecasts came from the evening news or a glance at the sky. You trusted the weatherman's voice, half science, half charm. Now radar pings your phone with minute-by-minute updates. More accurate, sure, but fewer days planned by looking out the kitchen window. Snow days were magic. You woke to silence, peeked outside, the world covered in white. No school, no work, just sledding and cocoa. Now many schools flip to remote learning. The snow's still there, but it feels more like homework in a sweater. Most jobs were in offices or factories. You could see what people made, hold the finished product, clock out with pride. Now services and knowledge, work dominate. Paychecks still cash, but results live on screens, not in your hands. Payphones stood on street corners, in diners, always ready. A coin in your pocket meant a call home. Now it's QR codes, mobile pay, and cell towers in your hand. Handy, yes, but no more ducking into booths to call mom. Hardware stores had creaky floors, bins of nails by the pound. Clerks knew the exact bolt you needed from memory. Now it's endless warehouse aisles, self-checkout. You get what you need, but without the advice. Civics class walked you through the Constitution. Current events quizzes kept students sharp. Teachers expected you to read the paper, know the headlines. Today, it's media literacy, spotting bias, fake news. The goal's the same. Informed citizens, but in a noisier, tangled world. Teen drivers learned on stick shifts, grinding gears, muscle memory kicking in. It was a rite of passage. Now most learn on automatics with driver assist features. Some never touch a clutch. The freedom's still there, just with fewer moving parts. House keys sat under the doormat, or hung on a nail in the garage. Nobody thought twice. Now it's motion lights, smart locks, security cams. Safer maybe, but trust doesn't live on the porch anymore. Backyard grills burn charcoal. That smoky smell, filling the neighborhood. Lighting it took patience. Cooking took time. Now it's pellet smokers, infrared burners, precision and speed. The food might be better, but the ritual of coaxing coals is fading. By the late 60s, malls were wonders. Climate-controlled streets, fountains, food courts. Families strolled just for fun. Now, many are lifestyle centers, warehouses, or left empty. The buzz of a mall in its prime is hard to replicate. In the summer of love, 1967, thousands poured into San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury, chasing music, art, and a whole new way of living. It was real, physical, unforgettable. Today, going viral means pixels. A trending post instead of a street full of flowers and guitars. Birthday parties were simple. Cake, backyard games, maybe a few balloons. Pin the tail on the donkey until laughter blurred your vision. Now it's themed venues, photo booths, goodie bags. Fun, yes, but less about simply being together. Vacations meant postcards. A quick note in ballpoint, a picture on the front, a stamp licked in the hotel lobby. They took days to arrive. That was the charm. Now, vacation photos hit social media before your sunscreen dries. Supermarkets closed by 6, Sundays even shorter. Forget something? You waited until Monday. Now many stay open late, some even 24 hours. Convenient, sure, but weekends felt slower, more deliberate back then. Detroit's Big Three ruled the roads of the 60s. Most cars on Main Street, American-made. Today, the industry is global. Parts from one country, assembly in another, and a shift toward electric. Cars are more advanced, but pride in Made in USA was everywhere back then. Evenings once meant radio. Dramas, variety shows, ball games in crackly tones. You pictured the scenes in your head, voices as vivid as movies. Now it's podcasts, smart speakers, endless choices. But the magic of a family leaning toward one glowing dial is harder to recapture. Life moved at a different pace. Fewer choices, fewer interruptions, fewer glowing screens. Days had pauses built in, whether you wanted them or not. Today is faster, noisier, always on. Some call it progress. Others just miss the quiet.